Hey friends, I was in the middle of finishing this up and I thought I would turn the camera on and just kind of show you what I've been working on with this Victorian piece. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, actually 5 different types of ribbon in here, and then some, oh, these are just gorgeous, these roses. They're all tipped in gold and I'm working with the rose gold. I'm contemplating right now, I do have this Happy Valentine's Day sign and I'm contemplating putting it in. I just don't know, this is just so elegant. So I was just working on gluing in the last few pieces and I thought I'd turn the camera on and just kind of share with you what I'm doing. These typically come, you know, pretty straight, and then what I like to do is I'll use anything. I just kind of like curve them a little bit to give them a little bit of bend to make them look a little bit more lively in the piece. You could even use, you know, a bottom stem of a floral, or you can simply just do it with your fingers, but just to kind of like give them a little bit more life. Trying to decide, I've got one here and then I've got some in here. So I haven't decided if I'm going to split it up or if I'm going to keep it all together. Kind of thinking I'd like something coming out of there. See, this is what I typically do. I won't glue it in, but I just kind of place it and then step back and look at it. I think I'm liking maybe 3 there, and then that would give me 2 for down in there. So this will just give me an idea if I just lay this in here. Yeah, I'm liking those 3. So what I'm going to do is just peel this off at this point. And that leaves the 2 that I'm going to be able to put somewhere down in here. And then I'm just going to cut this a little bit with my nippers. And place it in up here. I'm using a glue pan for this, but you could use glue, hot glue gun, whatever you have. Just gonna place it in there to make sure I get a good bond. Just gonna be able to play with it a little bit. And then, like I said, I'm gonna put this other 2. My goal is, got this here. My goal is to put those right about in there. See how it just pops? Love that. Okay, so I'm gonna do the same thing again. This time I'm just winding them together to make one. It'll be easier to stick into the grapevine. And to tell you, when I started this piece, I actually did, I went through the grapevine. Sometimes I even use pliers. And I clean out, especially if I get it at like Joann's or something. A lot of times it's just so thick, it's got leaves and all of that. And I tend to like them more airy. You know, you can tell by all the twigs and the little branches that I have. I tend to design my pieces to be a little bit airier. So what I did is I actually went in with the pliers and I pulled out a lot of that. Because then when you go ahead and you try to glue your stems, etc. to your pieces, you've got a lot more room to work with. Yeah, I'm really liking that a lot. That looks pretty. And now I'm going to add in, I've got to get some more of the greenery. This is the greenery that I'm working with. So I'm going to go ahead and add, and what I love about this is if you can get pieces that are movable so that you can separate them to look a little bit, if you're looking for a dense piece, then you could push them all up. But if you're looking for something that's a little bit lighter, which is what I want for the back and through here, then you want to try to find something where you can manipulate all the different branches. So keep your eye out for that when you purchase stems. And I'm just going to cut that a little bit shorter. And I'm thinking a couple different places where I want to continue to work. I want to put something in here and I would tuck it under here and kind of work it in. That's one spot where I'm going to need something. And then in back in here, I'm also going to need. Now that one I'm probably going to want a little more dense. Let's continue to work on this area right here. I want something a little bit. I still haven't figured out what I'm going to do here for ribbon. I'm thinking I have more of this. I think I might just do a great big bow of that. But I haven't really figured that out yet. And the other thing I love about this greenery, I actually got this at Joann's. It's expensive, but every once in a while they do a 40% off. And I typically stock up when I can on it because it's just such high quality greenery. And then I put another piece right in here just to fill that out. So now that I have that already in, it's pretty snug. I'm just going to take the wreath down and I'm going to apply some glue with my glue gun. And then just hang it back up. And again, remember what I said about being able to manipulate all of this to look spread out a little bit. And now I'm going to put another piece in here. I'm going to get some more. This is how the stem comes, and it's all state floral. I just love it because it's got a vintage look to it. It's got an olivey green color, and I just think it's different. You don't see it everywhere, and that's really what calls to me is things that are different. Like these leaves, I don't know if the camera's picking that up, but they are just, these flowers are gorgeous. I'm just going to snip these apart, and I'm thinking right now that I'm going to put another piece in here. Start to fill this area out a little bit. Like that. Now typically you would put a lot of your greenery in first, but I say typically, I don't do that every single time. Each wreath is really different for me, and I just play with it. That's what's so much fun about creating. Okay, and then I think I want one more piece up in here. Then I got to figure out what I'm doing on the other side. I'm also thinking maybe I want one down in there. I actually started this wreath, I think it was last year, and it's taken me all this time to finish it. But I have a picture in my mind of what I want, and I'm just going to keep working at it until I get 100% satisfied with the finished product. Oh, it's so pretty. So Victorian. And I realize this isn't everybody's style, but some people really love the Victorian feel in their home. Now, I didn't mention this, but I have 2 or 3 different types of greens in this piece. I have these leaves that are edged in gold. I have this other ficus leaf, and then I have this stem along with this fern. So in all of my pieces, even this is different. I always try to do 3 or 4 different types of greenery just to bring accent and interest. I have some more of these as well. I think I'm going to add some to up here. Trying to decide how I want to do that. Might put some back there first. I think I'll start there. And most of you, I don't know if you realize this or not, but a lot of my stuff I get marked down. I wait until it's 80% off or so, and I buy it because silk flowers are so expensive that you just have to do that at the end of the season. Scoff some stuff up and try to hang on to it until next season. So once you open up that box and you see what you have, you're so happy that you did that. I did that today with my Valentine stuff. I had forgotten what I had bought, and when I saw it, I was so glad that I did. And it's important that you step back and you look at your piece from different angles to see whether or not you like it. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to glue this in, but what I'm going to end up doing is definitely twisting those to just make them a little different, so they're not all the same. Again, just adding interest to the piece. Decided to come out. I'm actually glad because it would be kind of heavy with it in there. I think I'm going to put this one up in here. I want something in here as far as these go. And you can pull all of those apart. If you wanted to just put them in individually, you could do that as well. I think I'm going to stop the video here, go gather my ribbon, and then come back to finish up. So I'm back. I went ahead and I made this bow, and what I've decided is I'm going to insert the bow over here on the left to start to fill this section out, and I have more of this ribbon that I'm going to put in as well. So I'm going to go ahead and glue that bow in now. Glue gun is still heating up. I try not to play with it, like fluff it too much once I glue it. I just try to get the glue to adhere, and then I'm going to go back and definitely work with the bow a little bit more. I have this ribbon as well. Then I'm going to go ahead and cut a piece. Show you what I'm going to do here to make a tail. How I typically make a tail with this, I'm going to decide how long I want it and where I want it. I want the first one over in here. So I'm just going to cut my piece of ribbon. And then I'm simply just going to make a loop like so, and then I'm going to pinch it, and then I'm going to take a pipe cleaner and tie that right here and insert it into the wreath. I'm going to get a pipe cleaner. A couple of them. I'll show you. I just take the pipe cleaner, just twist it. Snip it. So I have something that looks like that. Typically I try to work with the same color. If I'm working with an evergreen, I'd have a green pipe cleaner, but here I'm working with grapevine, so I have brown. And then I'm just dipping that into my glue pan, and I'm going to put it on the wreath. Actually going to put it, I think, right in here. And then all the other tails are dovetailed, so I'm going to do that on this one as well. And that's really easy. You just simply fold your ribbon in half. and then you just come from the outside into the center, and you've made a dovetail. And I'm going to do another one of these ribbons on this side. So again, I'm going to just do the same. I don't even measure it. I'm going to do the same procedure. I typically just hold it up and try to guesstimate what I would like. Taking the ribbon, I've got it folded over. And you could dovetail it at this point if it's easier for you. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. And then using what's left from that last pipe cleaner, I just twist it. I'm going to snip it, dip it in my glue pan, and then I'm going to put it right in here. And you can see how that's starting to fill out this area. These glue strings are awful. I typically use Gorilla Glue in my glue pan, but I ran out and I'm waiting for some more to come in, so it really does make a difference what type of hot glue you use. I actually think I'm going to have that tail go up like so. Now I'm going to bring some of this greenery down this way. Got some more of that. What we typically do is we call where we put our bow a transition point. So underneath the bow here down is going to be my transition point, and it's going to head in this direction. The rest of this piece is going to head in that direction. So I'll put one piece like that, and then I'm going to put another piece of greenery. And remember, this is the greenery that we can really manipulate and make as thin. See, this is pushed up all the way. Now I can, and some of these are, it takes a little bit of time, but you want to make sure every piece that you put in, you really take time to move it around to make it look as realistic as possible. You put all this time into your piece. Yeah, I definitely want that in there. So I'm going to go ahead and dip that in my glue pan. I want my glue to be just a little bit hotter. Maybe that will help with the strings. I'm going to go ahead and put that in there. A lot of times I like to bring my greens right down into the bow to break up the bow. Again, to make it look realistic. A little bit more real. If you look outside, you can tell the way the things grow. They definitely do not all grow in the same direction. Got a couple more of these I'm going to use. Just putting these together. Now, I do have a stemming machine, and sometimes I use that on my pieces, but I don't always. This one I am choosing to use just because the wire is so thin. That's filling out nicely. I'm going to do one more ribbon curl over here, just for something a little different. So again, I'm just taking the ribbon, just folding it, pinching it, folding it down, hanging onto it, and taking that piece of pipe cleaner, folding it over, and just twisting it. And that's what I'm going to put into the glue. Push that right into the grapevine. Put it right here. And then once that has a chance to dry, I am going to go ahead and dovetail the end. You'll notice with some ribbons, if you go to dovetail them, they fray. So what I typically do with those is keep those straight across, and I might even run a real thin layer of glue across the bottom and then cut some of that glue off, but it just helps to seal the ribbon so it won't fray. And then I want one more tail of this ribbon here. I want a long tail. So I want to kind of just figure out how long I want it. I think I want it down to there. So I'm figuring I've got to scrunch it at the top, and I've got to dovetail it, so I would rather cut it a little long than too short. I did get this ribbon at Hobby Lobby during their 50% off. It was expensive, but when you use, wait till 50% off, or if you use their 40% off coupon, it helps. Okay, so I'm going to lift up the ribbon here, and I'm going to make sure that this goes right into the grapevine. Push it in really good. And now I'm just going to let that dry for a minute. Going to take this top branch, because it's really not going in the right direction for me. So I'm going to move this to be up here. Okay. Sometimes if it gets, caught right off the bat, you don't even have to pull it out. If you have a glue gun and you want to just glue it where it's at, you could do that as well. I've done that before. I've put all the pieces in and then gone around with the glue gun and glued them all. It's just you want to make sure you don't miss one. Now this is a ribbon that I can tell that this ribbon is going to fray. So I can kind of give you an example of what I was talking about earlier. Now if you wanted to keep it dovetailed, you could do the same thing with the glue on the dovetail, but I'm just going to show you here what I meant, just so you can see about the gluing. I'm cutting these strings. My glue gun will reach. I'm going to take the glue gun, and I'm going to run just a bead, a very, very, very light bead, just on the edge of that ribbon. And I'm going to let it dry. You could even do it with like an Elmer's glue if you wanted to, because that would be a good seal. I'm just not patient enough to use Elmer's and wait for it to dry. So you want to just seal all the edges of that ribbon with the glue. And then what you're going to do is you'll go back and you would trim some of that off so that it would still be sealed. think I'm all set. I'm really happy with this. I will bring it a little closer to you so that you can see it. And I'll also show you a picture of the finished product once I cut this and trim the ends. I'll do an up close. Thanks for watching. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please go ahead and do so. I'm excited about some of the projects that I've got planned to share with you. And if you have something that you'd like us to give a try, leave that in the comments as well. Thanks for watching, and get creative.